also the lack of having to, learn and study and figure it out. It's like people can relax a little bit more with this,
Yes.
There's not always something to achieve.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's not the constant study and constant analyzing and really done. If you're, it's when are you going to live this? It's interesting that I've been I've been living it, but just probably in the last 3 or 4 months, maybe. And maybe it's just that I'm noticing it more.
Mm-hmm.
I've felt so loving towards people. I mean, it's a little bit crazy, actually. I mean, I was at the Mall of America, and I rarely ever go there, but I just decided I needed to be with people, and I was going to exercise. That's what I was going to do. It's like 20 below in Minnesota,
Right.
And I saw all these foreign people, and I thought, they need a friendly face. They need somebody to talk to them. And, I thought, what? I could probably spend my days just being nice to all these people.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I tried to be really sweet to this people that were in line. I was going to get a gelato, but he couldn't speak English, so my plan didn't work. But I haven't given it up yet. So, but I honestly do. Even on Facebook, which I spend way too much time, all of a sudden I decided I always want to say nice things to people. Well, maybe that's my purpose. Say nice things to people and be loving. That would be okay with me.
Yeah.
I don't have to have a grand purpose.
Yeah.
One time Carolyn May said, what if your purpose was just to be a light at the end of your block? Well, that was at a time when I wanted to, go out there in the world and go get them, and I was like, that's not a purpose. Who would want to do that? But no, I could do that.
Yeah.
Really well.
It's kind of funny. I was thinking that the other day, that if A Course of Love had become, success right from the beginning, and I was in my 40s, I would have felt more eager, I believe, to really go out with it. Now it is sort of reluctant. It's like, because I don't need it. But maybe that's the place from which to come. That you don't need it for the purpose of it anymore, but you enjoy it for the sharing of it and for the way you see people respond and grow and that sort of thing.
Right, right. But I think all the scribes I've known, I think Jesus, this is just my own opinion, I really can't speak for Jesus.
I love your opinion, though, because how many people have this experience as intimately as you do with so many of us?
Well, this just, that anybody could observe this, but that he picks, he doesn't want people worshiping the scribes, right?
Right,
Like
yeah,
they
absolutely.
Did, he picks his scribes very carefully. I mean, he didn't want anybody worshiping Helen and Bill, because humanity tends to do that. They did that with him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to repeat history. So he doesn't want somebody that's a go-getter, that wants to get out there and, look at me, and I've done this and all that. So that's wonderful that you're not that kind of a person. But at the same time, there's a thin line there, because he also picks people who get things done. He, like when Helen said to him, "Why me?" It's that you can't. He doesn't want someone that's just going to do this halfway. That once you start it, you're going to do it, and you're going to go through with it. But much more of a go-getter with it, and much more I do with this? Now I need to get a manager, agent, and whatever, and get this book out. And no, but look how beautifully it's unfolding. Beautifully. And you didn't have to push the saying, don't push the river.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it just, some of the things, many things that came to me were part of that influence. And one of the things that you said to me, and I just love this, was you were talking about JM and Regina and myself, and you said you always thought it was funny that Jesus would give us these masterpieces and then not tell us what to do with them. It's like, no kidding. And the funny thing is, like, Jesus has talked to me, outside of A Course of Love. I've had, him tell me things, but, they're never do this and then do that. Never. They're always sort of, I don't know, metaphorical or allegorical, or I don't know what the right word is for it, but like when I finished A Course of Love, and he said, be a companion to those willing to leave hell behind. Okay. Yeah. So you're left to come in, and I know this is, the brilliance of all this is that we are left to come to our own expression of what that means to us. They say all the master teachers, they're not going to tell you what to do. They'll suggest, and then you have to go the rest of the way and pull it up out of yourself. It takes 10 minutes, That's the birth of the knowing that actually does elevate us, I think, is when we ourselves have the experience of coming to know an idea or what we are to do or whatever that it is, when we actually follow through with that and birth it, kind of,
He's a funny guy, huh?
No kidding.
His purpose is to give you this book, and then he just toodles. We so want to manipulate it and push it, and when you try to push it, it never works. In my experience, anyway, that's happened. But when you just let it go, then it happens. Most interesting things have happened in my life when I've just been minding my own business and not, trying to create something, because I don't know what's best for me. Only Spirit knows, only God knows. So it's like a puzzle, like a puzzle that comes together, or a symphony even, or a masterpiece. You talk about masterpiece of these books.
You use that word to me.
Oh yeah, it's my word. The masterpiece, yes. I mean, our whole life is a masterpiece, actually.
But I think that what A Course of Love is about is emerging, because we think of knowing as sort of separate from experience, I think. Because we've been trained in this in your life, and then we share, and from these things, the love keeps expanding, and it's building these bridges, and it's, come back to our part in it, because I think that's why Jesus came again in A Course of Love, is to say, don't leave yourselves out. You are so essential to this coming of heaven and earth. We are the second coming of Christ. That in this time, that's what's happening, is the second coming of what Jesus was, the only representative of before. Is this, we accept our inheritance and are able to be who we truly are here and now, and do as Jesus did. And that's what he's calling us.
I've always been curious, Maury, really how, let's just go back to the beginning. We're going to end now, so let's end at the beginning.
Sure.
You said that you felt like you were so wounded, and yet and that you needed this love, and then you got the course of love was given to you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just, I'm so curious, tell me how it came. I mean, I'm more curious how you felt, and to me that would be such a surprise.
Yes,
how did it happen?
Well, I don't know if I can do this very short, but because, there was such a buildup. And it began with my friends, Mary and Julie, who I experienced this time of grace with.
Right.
So really, that was the beginning of this heart opening and realizing how much of myself I had left out of my life until that point. And I was, wounded sort of with shame. I was a single parent, and I had, I was poor. And I felt ashamed to go to the laundromat. I know that sounds silly, but I did. It was like, my family didn't live like this. It was just, and I was scared. I was scared to try and raise my children by myself. And so many women are experiencing this that I don't mind sharing it, because it's like, if anything can break your heart and your spirit, it's those times of being alone. Mm-hmm. That we become very exasperated by the situation.
I've been there.
Yeah, I thought you maybe had. So it was, I remember when I first told, because I could kind of fake it that, people who didn't know me well, I could say, well, I was married twice, and nobody knew that my kids were, not born during marriage, And so, like Mary and Julie, when I really got to know them, this was like this secret I had to bring out. But, these children weren't all born from my marriage, And so there were just these layers of this and just feeling sort of bad about myself, and like I had to hide things. And so that had been, getting loosened. And then, and with that, this sort of sense of something coming. And that's what, really drove me to change my life was a sense. It came from a dream, but it was like a sense of I needed to make these changes, which were about, leaving this job with these women I loved so much to make myself open for something new. And I had all kinds of ideas about what that would be because I wanted to be a writer. I had no idea it was going to be a new Course in Miracles as Jesus, put it to me. And that really came from Mary. After this 9-month period of what I now call gestation, of me just sort of torturing myself, feeling, that something was trying to come, but I couldn't grasp it. And then
this is a place where we're in our heads making all these plans and these ideas when we don't have to.
Well, maybe, but to me, it's once I knew what was coming, it was sort of just a week. Once I knew what was coming, and that was I felt it because of a dream that Mary shared with me. She'd had this dream of a new Course in Miracles. And then it was like, ding, 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 like all these things that had been in my life were really probably pointing toward that, but I couldn't see them.
Right.
And so, then it was only a week.
Yeah.
And then it came.
Yeah.
And it was stunning.
Came fast.
And sort of almost a shock to the mind and the body, putting you in a different zone, more than I can probably say today. But I thank you for asking.
What were Jesus's to you?
This is a Course in Miracles.
Really?
He didn't talk to me at all, one word personally to me, until midway through A Course of Love. Before it was all just like he was reading a book to me. It was
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for all of the insight that you've had and for the waiting that you've done. Like you call it, the will of heaven, or the, just timing, waiting not to push, and I do, like I say, I still respect those times of, I don't know if it's exactly pushing, but to allow ourselves the times of yearning and desire. to see what's at the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have to do this again because
Yes.
you have so many stories I'd like to hear.
Thank you.